Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, my name is Dian Rahma Santoso. I'm from Universitas Muhammadiyah Sidoarjo. I'm doing this research with my partner Wahyu Taufik. He's also from Universitas Muhammadiyah Sidoarjo. And in this chance, I would like to share to you the result of my research entitled Implementing Circumlocution to Improve the Speech Performance in Public Speaking. Ladies and gentlemen, well, studies on public speaking nowadays are very popular. Speaking in front of public is often related to the way of communication because it's usually used as at the same time to share information to the audience or listeners. How people communicate actually show their credibility in public. Although not everyone is destined to be a public speaker, it's a really matter to learn to be one as well. Ladies and gentlemen, in line with public speaking and communication, most students of English Education Study Program of Universitas Muhammadiyah Sidoarjo or UMSIDA still have problems to communicate confidently in front of public. Let me share you this slide. Okay. The preliminary studies mentioned that most students were afraid of making grammatical mistakes. They are lack of vocabulary, and they also, here you can read together. Yeah, they also get confused to develop the outline when performing. You know what happened to my students is actually they speak by making long script. They try to memorize it and then performing. But what I expected actually in this research, by doing this research, is I can help my students to go out to get out of their boundaries from the script to the outline. So I really expect that actually students can speak in front of many people by having the outline, reading the outline, and they can share a lot of information in front of public. Ladies and gentlemen, this research is based on several previous studies. The first one, Mufanti et al. 2018 investigates the students who joined the program of public speaking intensive course. The program was expected to help them raise their competency and reduce their anxiety to enhance the students' competence in public speaking. For the 2 years, they did successful program, and it was clearly stated that most problem that the students face in public speaking was caused by lack of confidence. The other previous studies is from Arniatika 2019. She investigated the specific problems, especially in speaking. Students took too much time to think before speaking, and they even do not have any idea what to say. While Santoso 2017 clearly stated that a speaker should explore the topic, express the idea, analyze critically, and make the audience understand the whole context of the speech. Ladies and gentlemen, speaking performance is actually the act of conveying messages from the speaker to the listener through words, utterances, and sentences where their performance in speaking will automatically show their good or bad competence either. On the other hand, by looking at these kinds of problems, ladies and gentlemen, I actually would like to combine between speaking and also the communications becomes trying to find out what happens between speaking and communications, from the communication strategies. Now, Yaman, Irgin, and Kafazoglu conveyed from the theories written by Donny and Scott and Taron. They divided communication strategies into 3 categories: direct, indirect, and interactional strategies. First, the direct strategy means alternative, manageable, and self-contained thing to get the across meaning. It contains message reduction, circumlocution, approximation, code switching, mime, self-rephrasing, and self-repair, and other repair. Well, the second one, the indirect strategy, involves fillers and repetition to facilitate the meaning by making such situation to extend time. And the third one, interactional strategy, It includes cooperative problem solving with the appeal for help, comprehension check, asking for repetition, and guessing. Ladies and gentlemen, in this research, I'm focusing on circumlocution as one of the communication strategies. Now, Dorje, as cited in March 2014, explained that circumlocution as describing or exemplifying the target object or action, while Rodriguez, 2012, says that students tend to use paraphrasing and also positive and reinforcing comments to make students confident in their use of English. What they did was encouraging other students to restructure their questions and replying with a complete sentence. On the other hand, ladies and gentlemen, Taron in Maleki 2010 also defined the circumlocution as the learners describe the characteristics or elements of an object for action instead of using appropriate target language structure. Well, I'm still trying to find the definition of circumlocution from Hua and Nor and Jarada 2012. They mentioned that circumlocution means the learners describe or exemplify the action of objects instead of using the right L2 structure or item. So, ladies and gentlemen, in doing all that, I try to implement this circumlocution to minimize the students' problem in speaking, especially in my class. Well, as I told you, the situation of my students is actually when they get upset in the middle of their speech, they tend to stop and they try to memorize what they think about. They try to memorize what they have written on their text. So by implementing this circumlocution, I really hope that the students can get out of their stuck situations. So this is the process I did. I'm telling them to change the word when they got upset in the middle of the speech in order to stop speaking. For example, I read here. Ladies and gentlemen, for example, I give the example to my students like this. When they try to describe someone, for example, I met someone, she's very beautiful. She wears trousers, black trousers, and covered by white blouse and like this. The students is usually confused to mention this one, for example. So when you can say, this is hijab in English, in Bahasa Indonesia, sorry. This is hijab in Bahasa Indonesia. But in the middle of the speech, they cannot speak Bahasa Indonesia, ladies and gentlemen. But they have to change what makes them confused with this word. So they can change, for example, she also wears, what is it? It's called clothes that cover their hair and their head, their neck until around 5 or 50 centimeters. They can lengthen the sentence actually. So in this kinds of sentence, in this kind of situation, students can extend several seconds, right? Students can extend several seconds instead of saying hijab or in English veil. So for example, what I told you, the students forget to say hijab or veil in English, and they can change with those kind of sentences. And there are still many other examples. So that's why circumlocution is very, in my opinion, before I did the research, I hope it's really effective for helping the students when they are stuck in the middle of their speech. Ladies and gentlemen, goes to the design of my research. Well, this research is actually used classroom action research, or you know it's CAR, yeah, classroom action research. It includes 4 steps. Those are planning, acting, observing, and reflecting. The data source was taken from 53 students of 4th semester of English Education Study Program, academic year 2019-2020, who took public speaking lecture. Okay, now in planning stage, because there are 4 stages, now I'm telling you one by one. In planning stage, the students work individually. The video camera is needed, of course, to record the speech performance. In this case, each student use their personal gadget to record your own performance. Well, the material or the topic is about informative speech. That's the first job in the first cycle. And the topic was education in Indonesia. So the material is about informative speech. The topic is about education in Indonesia. The students could specify the topic into titles they like. The criteria of success were determined that all students could meet the minimum score 70 of the range of 0 to 100 by using public speaking evaluation guide. You can see in my paper. All right. And then the second one, in acting stage, all students work individually, performing speeches. In the middle of the speech, when they get upset, they have to implement the circumlocution strategy to describe things or objects to replace the missing vocabulary or sentences. Furthermore, in observing stage, the data were collected from their performance. The field notes also used to report the verbal data of the students' participation and attitudes. The task was to retrieve the numerical data from the source of preliminary study and the post-test. And the last one is the reflecting stage. It covered the data analysis from the cycle 1. It indicated that the result of the observation by giving the feedback and evaluation of each performance. And then the data were analyzed by synthesizing, summarizing, and interpreting. The verbal data related to the students' activities would gain from the field notes, and the numerical data was taken from the individual tests. Ladies and gentlemen, in my study, in my research, the study was accomplished into 2 cycles. It covered 8 meetings because it was not really successful in the first meeting. So the first 4 meeting or cycle 1, it involves performing informative speech, like I told you, with the education topic. Whereas the second cycle required persuasive speech. The topic is about selling products or services. Yeah, and the students' improvement of speech performance, yeah, can be seen in the following table. Now, this one, ladies and gentlemen, let's see this one. From the cycle 1, the result from the preliminary study, the lowest score is 52, the highest score is 60, and the average score is this one. And cycle 1, it's 64 for the lowest score, highest score 72, and the average score 68. In the cycle 2, well, actually they have, before I'm talking to you about the process in cycle 2, I'm telling you the process in cycle 1. Well, actually, this one, the students have got their improvement actually. We can see from the lowest score and the highest score. The lowest score in preliminary to the cycle 1, the gap is about 8 points. The highest score is also, it's 12 points, right? And then the average score, it's about 14 points. So actually they have got improvement from their speaking, right? But unfortunately, I'm trying to find the average score, this one. Like I told you before, that it must be 70 because this can meet the requirement, yeah, the minimum requirement to pass this lecture, public speaking lecture. Okay, well then I continue to cycle 2. The lowest score becomes, it increased, the lowest score becomes 72, the highest score increase becomes 78, and the average score 74. Well, we can see there are lots of improvement, ladies and gentlemen, when you see this kind of process. Well, now let me tell you the process of my research, because I told you this one use a classroom exchange research, then it's not good if I'm not telling you the process, right? Okay. Wait, let me stop sharing first because I want to tell you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the improvement from preliminary study to the process of cycle 1 shows that good progress, like I told you, but it doesn't meet the minimum requirement 70. Okay, fewer than 50% of students seems becoming credible source of information related to informative speech. They could be good informants. You know, their video are very excellent. They could be good informants to inform any kinds of material related with the education in Indonesia. However, this topic represents one-way speaking without considering the audience attention to believe what the speaker said. In the part of implementing circumlocution, few students try to rephrase terms to catch audience self-interest when they lost their mind and forgot what to say in the middle of the speech. In fact, they try to use facts and logical reasoning to support their views. That statement in line with the characteristic of elements of a subject, that statement is actually in line with the definition, of circumlocution according to Taran in Malaki, as the learner described the characteristic or elements or of an object on action instead of using the appropriate target language structure. Well, ladies and gentlemen, in addition to the process in cycle 1, 40% of the students could organize their speech properly. They use speech outlines instead of memorizing the long script. So even though in a certain case they lack of using emotion to persuade the audience to support their views, even though some speeches show the opening could capture the audience interest. In the contrary, those who had not met the minimum requirement, there are some problems that they face. Their body language and vocal variety was not really optimal contribute to the message. So they could not contribute effectively to the audience. Most students still look at the script. They put on the left or right side on the gadgets. So the video of speech performance indicates that students could haven't released their script yet and replaced with the outline. So this condition makes not many audience feel persuaded to accept the speaker's view. But yes, it's okay because the topic is about informative speech. I don't have any problem with this. So I decided to continue to the second cycle. Ladies and gentlemen, the second cycle showed different results. More than 70% of students became credible source of information in presenting persuasive speech by selling products or service. They could persuade the audience to believe that their product or services were good. This topic truly consider the audience attention to believe what they said. And this kind of results here, ladies and gentlemen, supports Brown's theory related to speaking category. I quote, intensive needs productivity from short structure that shows relationship of grammar, phrase, and lexical and phonology. In the part of implementing circumlocution, most students describe the object by mentioning the different term of vocabulary arranged into a better sentence to catch audience attention, especially the audience self-interest when they lost their mind. So in this cycle, ladies and gentlemen, students now can manage their mind to explain by the other object by implementing circumlocution. So, indeed, they also use facts and logical reasoning to support their views to make the audience believe what they say, ladies and gentlemen. In addition, most students also could organize their speech properly. They use speech outline instead of writing long script. They truly force themselves, I can see that, they truly force themselves to use other phrases or to explain things they lost in mind in the middle of the speech when they deliver the speech. Besides, they could show a little emotion to persuade the audience to support their views, although the speech opening could not optimally capture the audience interest. So, ladies and gentlemen, in short, those all results shows that students could attract the audience attention with a good delivery. So finally, this also supports Popescu and Vida, which considered the communicative strategies could be a great help for many students to continue a conversation when they do not know the words or structures, to gain confidence in speaking, to increase fluency, to appear interest in communicating, to develop a sense of autonomy. And the teacher's role in this case, they continue to help the students to deal with the past frustration and anxiety to build confidence. So ladies and gentlemen, in my conclusion, the communication strategy, especially the circumlocution, used in this classroom provides students with alternative ways of expressing in English, expressing what they have in their mind in English. Implementing circumlocution as one of the communication strategies truly help the students to improve their speech performance in public speaking. The researcher believe, I believe especially, if the students continue speaking the same way as what they have done in cycle 1 and cycle 2, I believe they could even get the maximum score. More important than that, they could be public speakers. Well, I think that's all my presentation today. I hope you enjoy my presentation. And if it's not clear enough, you can give me questions, and you can also give me lots of comments and suggestions. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.